Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sela Social Studies. Today we're going to go ahead and cover another stain on John Adams' presidency and his legacy, the Alien and Sedition Acts. Okay, so what are the Alien and Sedition Acts? Well, after the XYZ affair, which we just covered, war with France has really kind of been inevitable, right? We're having that quasi-war. The French and the American naval ships are battling in the Caribbean. We do sign that 1800 treaty, which eliminates it. But this is kind of in between the XYZ affair and the end of the quasi-war. And here's what happens in America. This is about what's happening in America now. Adams is aware that the French military successes in Europe have been greatly facilitated by political dissidents in invaded countries. So if France was fighting England, it would be the English people who moved into France to help France lose or to help Britain win. So the Federalists, such as Adams and Hamilton, sought to prevent such a subversion in the United States. They're trying to prevent this idea about the foreigners coming in here and helping us lose, right? So he adopts the Alien and Sedition Acts. They are 3 Alien Acts and the Sedition Act as a part of military preparedness measures. So what do these Alien and Sedition Acts do? Well, you have the 3 alien laws, which were passed in June and July. They were aimed at French and Irish immigrants who are mostly pro-French, because how much more dangerous can you be if you're trying to fight somebody and you're getting beat from the inside? If you had Irish and French people on the inside, kind of going to make you implode. So the Alien Acts, right? You had the Naturalization Act, which raised the waiting period for naturalization from 5 years to 14 years. You had the Alien Enemy Act, which permitted the detention or the arrest of subjects from an enemy nation. So that means if somebody was French living in America, they were allowed to be arrested and thrown in jail, just kind of basically for being French. And the Alien Friends Act authorized the chief executive, which is the president, to expel any aliens he considered dangerous. So if you're just a Frenchman walking down the street and John Adams is like, that guy looks dangerous, they can go ahead and deport you back to France in the Alien Acts. So you have the Naturalization Act, that time period expanding from 5 to 14 years to become a naturalized citizen. The Enemy Act, throw you in jail if you're of an enemy nation. France again, right? And the Alien Friends Act, they can deport you just from being from that country if he thinks you're dangerous. So those 3 acts, and then this last one completes the Alien and Sedition Acts. And this is the Sedition Act. In July 1914, this bans the publishing or false or malicious, which is bad writings against the government, like the president, and the inciting of opposition of any act of Congress or the president. So if you're like, John Adams is a total bum, he's a loser, he's weak, he's nothing, they can actually throw you in jail, right? This practice is already forbidden in some cases by state statutes and common law, but not federal law. So in some states, they could prevent you from saying it, but not the federal government. The Federal Act reduced the oppressiveness of procedures in prosecuting such offenses, but provided for federal enforcement. So the federals are able to enforce this now. Okay, so if you wrote anything bad about the government, or you wrote anything bad about the president, or confronted them in any sort of way, they were actually able to throw you in jail because of this, right? So the Jeffersonian Republicans hated it. They didn't like it because, Jefferson loved the French. No aliens in the Alien Sedition Act was actually deported. But look at here, 25 prosecutions resulting in 10 convictions under the Sedition Act. Now, what's the big thing about the Sedition Act? Which one of our amendments does it go again, right? Do we not have the freedom of speech in this country? Can't you walk down the street and give your opinion about the government or the president? Yes, you can. You can do that. That's what makes us, that's what makes our First Amendment of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution so important to us, because we could do something like that. The Sedition Act takes that out. I mean, you can still say what you want about other stuff, but to get thrown in jail for saying something, for practicing free speech on the street about your government, that is going against the First Amendment. So this is really something that kills the Federalist Party as well. People are thinking that Adams and the Federalists are overstepping their constitutional rights by now putting somebody in jail for saying something bad about the government. With the war threat passing and the Republicans winning control of the federal government in 1800, that is Thomas Jefferson, all the Alien and Sedition Acts were repealed over the next 2 years, except for the Alien Enemies Act. Now check this out, which remained in effect and was amended in 1918 to include women. All right, so you're talking about now 1800 to 1918. So the Alien Enemies Act stayed for that long and then amended to include women in 1918. So this is what our federal government thought. So this is kind of the end of the Federalist Party, the end of John Adams, XYZ affair, quasi-war, and the Alien and Sedition Acts.